Hi, everybody. This is Chris.
This is Matt.
And today we are not talking about, but learning to play Pool of Radiance.
We are avoiding talking about Pool of Radiance.
Except,
It's always hard not to get into
uh,
a discussion on the game when we do this.
yeah, I'm sure we'll go off the rails a little bit as we do by going on the rails. If that we'll accidentally go on the rails on the video we want to be off the rails on. So,
Right.
but that's how we do things here.
Yeah.
So it's an old game. You can get it at Good Old Games right now, which will help you with the launcher and getting started if you're not used to this sort of thing. But if you can start it in your DOS box. Probably the easiest
Yeah.
way to do it right now.
Yeah. And this is a good point too, because I had a lot of problems with this with the launcher not terminating correctly and having to reboot or terminate a bunch of processes to get it to run. So if you have that problem, switching to launching it from DOSBox like you're doing here is a
Mm-hmm.
good idea. Uh,
Bat? No.
is it? It's either com, bat, or exe.
No, I wanted to see this.
Oh, the
Edit.
config file.
Oh, you can't edit in DOS box.
I think if you do type
Is it type?
pool.config, it'll display it. Yeah. So this
Okay.
is the trick, though, is that you have to mount it correctly. I tried to edit this file and mess around with it, but it was no dice.
Right.
So if you want to launch it from DOSBox, mount it relative to that directory.
Right. So yeah, if you look at the system, what is it called? The Quick Start Guide. You can
Yeah.
find it online, or Good Old Games has it. It will tell you what each of these things means. EGA is for, well, actually, why don't I pull it up?
Yeah. Or alternatively, you can just use the launcher, but just be prepared for it to freak out on you if you get
Mm-hmm.
it from good old games. Like that's probably if you're not the kind of person who likes to edit text files and mess around with stuff,
Right.
uh, you'll probably be happier just having to reboot to get it to relaunch. Don't you think?
Yeah, some people that'll be easier. Um, but if you're watching this channel, you're probably pretty into old games, and you might as well start delving deeper into the tools that actually let you get to play them. I'm
Yeah.
not going to spend a lot of time though messing with this here. If people are interested in us doing a deep dive on DOSBox and talking about it on like spending a half hour breaking it apart and explaining how parts of it work and how to tweak it to what you want, we will absolutely do that. But I doubt
Yep.
we'll get many takers on that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's these 5 lines, and basically you have to have everything in the directory c:/pool or go in and mess with that and change it. I ran into an opposite problem since I always do everything through DOSBox. Most of my games are in C, but they're in. Oops, I have all my. No, don't I?
Oh, yeah. It
Oh
looks like
yeah,
you're
I
in.
was gonna put them. I was like starting to try and like consolidate my stuff. So I wanted to put like this under P for Pool of Radiance,
Yeah. Right.
but you
Right.
can't. So /P/Pool of Radiance just didn't work. It has
Yeah,
to
and
be C.
my attempts to do the same thing also failed.
Yeah,
So C pool rad is
just
what
do it.
works.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just remount your shit. I know everyone wants to use C for, just a general directory, but yeah.
All right. And
It's a
then
good collection of stuff you have here.
oh,
We got a peek inside the kimono on your
yeah.
DOSBox config.
Some of it's stuff we ran before. Some of it's stuff we haven't gotten to yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mech 2's in there, Lemmings is in there, Cool Rad is obviously in there.
Yeah.
I did a test of Road War after Auto Duel to see if we were going to go into that, and it's so rough. I think we need to ease you down to that era rather than
Hmm.
just
Yeah.
throw you in the deep end. Hey, there's no sound and the graphics are CGA at best, and it's
Yeah.
an old SSI game. This is SSI 2, and this is fantastic.
Yeah. Love that font.
Mm-hmm.
It just brings back memories every time.
Yeah. Copy protection.
Don't need it. Just hit enter.
Don't need it, just hit enter.
So you will need the code wheel though.
Mm-hmm.
So if you buy this from Good Old Games, we're kind of just going to assume that you're going to buy it from Good Old Games if you're going to buy it. It comes with a small program that mocks up the code wheel.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a pain in the ass to use, but no less so than the actual code wheel. That's for sure.
Right. One of the things I'm noticing about the Good Old Games version, and somebody can help jog my memory if they've played this on DOS before the Good Old Games version. The Commodore version had intro music.
Hmm.
This Good Old Games version does not seem to have intro music. I don't know if that's by design or accident or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
So this is what you get when you start.
yeah, real sexy, ain't it?
Yep.
Welcome to
CALE.
D&D.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, I mean, this definitely has that like just unfriendliness that D&D used to have to it. This is based on first edition D&D, AD&D. First edition AD&D.
Yep.
Uh, but yeah, your things are create a character, add a character to party, load a saved game, or exit to DOS. Get out of this completely. Well, we're not going to take E. Um, Starts with C for create a character, and then brings up the race you can pick for this character. Dwarf,
Yep.
elf, gnome, half elf, halfling, human.
And this is where we need to talk about not only playing Pool of Radiance, but playing the whole gold box collection of games.
Correct. Because right now in this game, your classes are pretty limited compared to what AD&D really has to offer. Um, in that it's cleric, fighter, magic user, and thief.
Yep.
Um, and what you're talking at is if you're not playing a human, there is a maximum level you can get to with this character.
Right. And so that is a problem because of the rest of the games you can import your character from Pool of Radiance. So
Right.
nobody wants to have their progress halted uh,
Right.
by their race.
Right.
Um,
Because
so the short answer is always play humans, except for a few, you know.
for most of your characters, just take humans. It, but mostly, I mean, you can play if you like. You can start this game out doing whatever you want. We're going to talk a little bit about class switches too here in a bit. Thief is the exception. Thief can go all the way up. So you can
Yep.
take a thief that is another race, and you will never be limited by that. But like you were saying, there's 4 games. So this one takes you up to about level 7 on average. And then Curse of the Edge of Bonds, I think, gets you to like 14 on average. And then Secret of the Silver Blades is mid 20s. And then uh, Pools of Darkness or something. I'm trying to remember what the last one's called. I think Pools of Darkness. That's like an epic level. You're fighting gods and things. So you're up at like level 36 when you're done.
Yep.
So
Unless you take anything but a human.
unless you take an elf who as a magic user is limited to level 11,
Right.
because of course they are. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
We should also talk about we'll talk about that other thing in a second here because there's another thing we're going to mention that uh, just doesn't jive with modern sensibilities.
Yeah.
But now we're talking about the limits, but there is one benefit to taking a multi-class or a race character, and that's the ability to multi-class. So you could take a thief who is also a fighter and a wizard. You could take a half elf who is a cleric and a magic user, and they would get both sets of things, or even a cleric, magic user, thief.
Right.
Um, that's handy. if you're gonna take a thief, you might as well take a demi-human and have them multi-class so that like if I take an elf, you know, elf fighter thief magic user, then
Yeah.
he can cast some spells, he can use all the armor, and he's still a thief. The downside to that is every class you take on the character, their XP split 2 or 3 ways.
Yeah.
So they're going to advance much slower, but they're going to be able to do more in the long
Yeah. And obviously if you go to the next game, you can create a new
run. Right.
character of any kind you want. So it's not like it's impossible to play, but if you're into creating an epic story with the characters across all the games,
Yeah.
uh
No,
then
I
you
mean,
might be happiest with a human, and then you can get your role playing Jones with your
mhm,
thief and be a gnome
yeah,
thief or whatever you want to
whatever you want to
do.
do.
It's your fantasy.
Right. Um, Now, some of the future games, you're going to be like, well, but they're going to add classes because they had Ranger, they had Paladin, they had Druid at some point. Demi-humans, which is what the non-humans are called, can be multi-class, meaning take, fighter, thief, magic user combinations, or cleric if they're half elf. No one else can be a cleric, by the way. Half elves and humans. End of list. No elven clerics, no dwarven clerics. Not an option. Um,
Really, they're called demi-humans? That's implies lesser than, doesn't it?
oh yes,
Like
it
it's
does. I was
man.
I was listening to a podcast by one of the guys who played with Gygax and helped write some of the first stuff and was at TSR in the beginning. And Gary Gygax apparently could not fathom why anyone would want to play anything other than a human fighter. Built the game around it, and it shows in the rules for a long time. I think up until third edition, there's definitely a huge, heavy lean on a human fighter as being the best class.
Yeah.
Um, and some of his arguments were just a product of his time. Some of his arguments made sense. Like, well, if wizards can do anything, why isn't the whole world just run by wizards? Like, fair question. But at
Yeah.
the same time, what's wrong with that? Have fun. It's D&D. Come
Yeah.
on. So yeah, they're demi-humans, and uh, they can take multiple classes, but they can never change their class. Their class is whatever you pick at the beginning. That's them for forever. Humans, if they have the stats, can change class to another class, and then when they get past the enough XP to pass the class they used to have, they'll get those abilities back too.
And that's in future games.
In
That's not
future games,
in this
yeah,
game. You get what you get:
you get what you get.
cleric, fighter, magic user, thief. Like
Yep.
there's no expansion options. There's no reclassing. But
No.
but
Yeah.
in the
In the
future
next
games,
games, yeah.
yeah. So let's take human. I think
Listen, yeah. Oop,
let's you know
let's just start with human. Oh, and
we're-
first thing, you'll want a keypad. If your keyboard doesn't have a keypad, you will want a keypad for this. It makes playing it just much easier.
yeah. So I have one of those hipster clicky keyboards with no 10 key pad, and it is like you can use the numbers 1 and 7 because that's how you move the menu.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes sense if you have a 10 keypad, but if you don't, it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
So if you have one of those keyboards like I do, get a 10 keypad.
Yeah, I
They're
think it
cheap.
was it's like this last week I finally figured out why you were getting frustrated with parts of it. I'm like, I don't understand why he's not just like you just it's one down, seven up. And like, yeah,
Yeah,
no, I don't have that. Like, oh no.
right, right. And it's not bad here, but the problem comes later
Right,
when you have to do diagonals.
for combat. Yeah,
Because
we'll
like,
talk about that too. Yeah.
yeah, we'll skip a bit. But anyway, human.
Human, and here we go.
Here's the next problematic D&D or early D&D rule set stuff.
If you're hoping to play Red Sonja, you might want to think about that. Um, Female characters do not have the same max strength as male characters, and it's across the board. Like some people will argue that human females are weaker than human males. Putting that argument aside a second, we'll just not even have it.
Yep.
The original story of dwarves is it was impossible to tell the men from the women. So why are female dwarves weaker?
It's a fair
Halflings?
point.
Halflings are not even kind of weaker. It's a 17 and a 14. It's a huge thing. There is a sexist undertone to this that just, if I don't bring up, I will feel bad.
Yeah.
So we disapprove.
Yep. But again, we're not gonna do a female on principle because I mean that's what you get. So
Yeah,
you can fight the power, but you're just gonna be
yeah,
nerfing yourself.
uh,
So yeah, so another human male.
yeah. Pick a male, color Brienne of Tarth, and be done with it.
Yeah, choose the. We'll show the
Yeah.
portrait
In
selector,
fact,
and
yeah, let's
all
do
bets
that.
are
Let's
off
go
with that
fighter.
thing. Yeah.
Let's go fighter. Uh,
Does
since we're
this
fighting the
matter?
power, let's do chaotic good.
All
Um,
right.
it can for quests,
Okay.
and it can for certain spells and stuff. Um, okay. So we are going to. It asks if you want to keep this character. If you say no, it'll re-roll. It's kind of fun to sit and re-roll. It doesn't matter too much, and we'll show why in a second. But um, I want to show one thing. Here we go. Perfect.
Whoa, that's pretty
That's not
good.
bad. Uh, the stats you're rolling on the left there: strength, intelligence, wisdom, dexterity, constitution, charisma, are all 3 to 8 or 3 to 18. 3 6-sided dice rolled to get that stat. Strength, if you're a fighter, and only if you're a fighter, again, Gary Gygax loved his fighters, and you roll an 18, you can then roll a 100-sided die to have even more strength.
Do you own a 100-sided die in real
Well,
life?
it's 2d10, basically, one for the tens column, one for the hundreds column.
We used to
I
game with someone who actually had a 100-sided
yeah,
sided
that
die,
was
and
Jake.
he would roll it for everything and then do math on it to get an answer, and I was like, couldn't be bothered.
Was that Jake or Nathan?
It
Maybe
was Jake.
both.
It was Jake. Yeah, I could see either of them doing it. Great people.
Great people. We're not, you know, we played
Yeah,
with them because they're friends, but yeah, it's
right.
like, come on. Jake also did the tiny dice that you could barely see.
Yeah,
And then he'd be squinting. I'm like, why are you doing that to yourself?
yeah,
Enjoy the game. Stop that. Um, 1880 over 81. That's about as good as it gets. I'm gonna
yeah,
say yes. We keep this character.
yeah.
And let's call it Brienne. Is it Brienne? I don't remember how to spell it. That'll be close
Probably
enough for
two
now.
ends. Who cares?
Right.
And now we get the mess that is the portrait selector.
This is the only game in the series that has the portrait selector. Thank God, because it is a mess.
Yeah, and you don't see those all the time, but you see them occasionally.
Yeah,
But man, there's some ugly
that
ugly
face is
portraits
wrong.
you can make. Right,
Like
and the heads are too
the head's
small.
thinner than the neck. Like
Right.
that ain't a thing. Uh, that's a pretty good Brienne, don't you think?
Sure,
Let's
yeah.
change the body because it doesn't give it a female pick. Like, oh, whoa, hang on, got some boobs on that. There, that was the one I was like,
Yeah. Here we
chainmail
are.
bikinis.
Yep.
It's that era. Oh, you can't go back. That really frustrates me. Like I'm aiming
Oh,
for
really?
one of them.
Right. So you're hitting B, and then H is for head, B is for body, and K
Yep,
is for keep, obviously.
that's the one I want because that looks like something Brienne would wear.
Yeah, sure.
Not a
That
dagger, but
that
whatever.
haircut is an abomination, though. It looks like her brain is on the outside of her head in yellow. It's really ugly.
Welcome to EGA.
Yeah,
Do you
it's
want me to
okay.
pick another head, or are we good with one?
No, no, let's keep it. I
Okay, let's
like it.
keep it.
I'm
All
into
right.
it.
This actually you're going to see a lot more of. So this is something.
Yeah, and th- this like all these interfaces are goofy, but this one is extra goofy because you can see some of so it's broken into like submenus.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Here,
so
I'll back up.
sometimes yeah. So yeah, you have head, and is this the first menu? Head
This is
and
the first
weapon.
menu. Head and weapon. You get to pick which parts you're gonna start. Oh, is it?
I thought there was.
Yes, this is
Oh,
because we're not doing color yet.
right, right. So,
Oh yeah, here's
but
it is. Parts, color 1, color 2, and size. So like you can if you're doing dwarves and halflings, you can shrink them down, or you can make them large, human size.
yeah,
We're doing humans, so. Parts, P for parts. Change the head. Next, 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 next. This lets you go forward and back,
yeah, that's nice.
but let's just keep that. Weapon. I'm looking for a sword and shield for her. That'll
There
work.
you go.
That's that for that. So color 1. Each of these things is like, okay, can't color the weapon at all on this one.
Right. So that can be a little confusing because sometimes you won't have a weapon and you'll try and you'll be and it doesn't explicitly tell you what you're coloring. So it can be a little
Right.
confusing. But the point is, aside from the interface being goofy, this is something that's worth spending your time customizing because you're going to see it all the time and it's going to be how you recognize your people in combat. So
Mm-hmm.
if you make them all the same or whatever, you're just going to be really confused. Like I
Right.
made my cleric look like he had way more equipment than he does, and it's like a psychological trick.
Yeah, no, you just have fun with it.
That looks good. I like that.
I'm gonna do the body a little bit.
Yeah,
Shield arm leg. Yeah, I'm good with that. We're not taking her out anyway.
yeah,
Is this icon okay? Yes. Okay, so you've created her. The next thing you got to do is actually put her in the party.
yep.
So we're gonna add. Oh, that's right, Jennifer Beal, Scrub, Brienne. I'm gonna put Brienne in the party. Now she's in
Why
the party. Hmm.
we were on a call when we made Jennifer Beal, and it was because was
She
it
had a
because of
headband.
Flashdance?
Yeah, we made a Flashdance headband reference.
Ah, good.
Um, so once you've added her to the party, now you get a whole bunch more stuff to kind of work with.
Yep.
Create a character still there, so you can make more. Drop a character, which will um,
Dropper.
forever. So no,
Don't
we don't
do
want
it.
to do that.
Don't do it.
View a
It
character. I'm going to skip modify for a second. View. You can
yeah,
come in
because
here.
modifies the thing.
You can come in here and you can look at it. We should probably talk a little bit about what's on the screen, just so people can read it, because there's a lot of information on
Yeah.
here. There's the name, male, human, age 17. Your age generally doesn't matter, and I don't know if they ever kill you from old age. Almost never is your character going to age just by aging. You're not going to play enough time to have that happen. But there are spells like haste that add years to your character. Uh, AD&D spells were a lot more, like the first edition spells had a lot more side effects that no one really thinks about or talks about. Your alignment, your class, your stats, your money is then on this screen and not in your inventory. But your money has weight.
Yeah,
Don't
that's
think you can
important.
carry all the money in the world.
Right. So sometimes you're gonna have to pick and choose if it's worth picking up those 400 copper,
Mm-hmm. And I saw it in here somewhere. Let's see if I can find it. You asked last time what the breakdown was. Last time we talked. Okay, so 200 copper equals a gold piece, so it's not 100 copper, it's 200.
Okay.
200 silver equals a gold piece. 2 electrum equals a gold piece. Obviously, a gold piece equals a gold piece, and a gold piece or 5 gold equals 1 platinum. So it is not a nice straight division of tens thing. Um,
Right. And
there's
does it
there's
make
math.
change for you? Like if I
Yes.
okay, good.
You don't really need to know that. It's more a matter of I can't carry all my loot. Which of these coins should I drop to pick up which coins?
Right.
Copper's lowest, silver, electrum, gold, platinum. And if you go to a store and pool all your gold and then share it, it will break it into the highest possible denominator for you.
Oh, very good.
So, um, and that's why it's saying trade, because you can trade gold or you can drop gold. I don't know why you. Well, I guess you wanted to drop copper or something.
Is that drop the character?
No, coin.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Uh,
Are you okay?
yeah. Your level, your experience. It won't tell you when you're ready to level. You've got to keep track of this yourself. If you can only level, I think one level at a time. If you start pushing into the next level, it will just stop you gaining experience. So keep an eye on that. Come back for training. You have to train to level up. It's not automatic, and it costs 1,000 gold to train.
Yeah,
So,
and this is the first time we'll mention to one thing that's a little strange about the documentation that comes with it. The charts for the classes and the leveling are at the back of the adventures journal. They're not in the manual. So if you need to reference who can use a weapon or whatever that or how much XP you need, that's going to
mm-hmm.
be in the back of the adventures journal and
Yep.
not in the manual, which is a strange choice, but okay.
Yeah, you kind of need both books to really know all the stuff in it. The Adventurer's Journal is mostly fluff and lore, so it'll lure you into thinking like, oh, I don't need all this, especially because the Adventurer's Journal is also how they got around some of the size limitations on discs. This thing already came on like 3 discs, double-sided,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't have room to do too much more. So a lot of dialogue, a lot of information, a lot of notes are in the Adventurer's Journal, but not all, so you don't get out of taking your own notes.
Yep.
Super good. I would print an adventurer's journal if I didn't have one, because then you can draw on it, mark which ones are true, circle things, write your own notes.
That's a
I
good
would
idea.
actually take the time to print one of those out.
Let's see how many pages that sucker is.
That's a good question.
38 pages.
So you could, if you double side it, you could probably fit 2 per page because it is, you know, switch it
Yeah.
from portrait to landscape. You could probably fit 2 pages per page of paper. Double
Pretty
side
good.
it, 19
Yeah.
pieces paper. It's not
That's worth
ideal, but I still would do it. Don't have to though.
it. Yeah.
Ooh.
Anyway, where were we? We were on XP.
We
Oh,
were on level and XP, so now we get to AC. If you are a modern gamer of most kinds, you want your defense to be as high as possible. And armor class is your defense score. It's low. It's a holdover from an old Navy game they used to play when they made Dungeons and Dragons. That's where they got the AC system from. Where the lower it was, the better. Uh, that's all I'm gonna say on that because it no longer does that. This is just a relic, so
yep. Get that low AC.
get that low AC. Every piece of armor you do lowers your AC. Thaco. If you're a modern gamer, you have probably not heard of it or have heard of it only in derision. Kind of for good reason.
Yeah.
This is the dice you have to roll if the opponent has an armor class of 0. So if you want to hit somebody with an AC 10, she would only have to roll an 8.
Right. Two
You,
hit armor class 0 is what THACO stands for.
right. And so then you add the armor class, or you subtract the armor class from it to find out what you need to roll. So if they have a negative armor class, you add the armor class, the absolute value of the armor class. Because a negative from a negative, or minusing a negative is a positive anyway.
Clear as mud.
Yep. Uh, third edition got rid of this, and we never look back. Encumbrance tells you how much you're carrying in coins worth of weight, not pounds worth of weight. So if you're like, this shouldn't weigh that, well, it probably doesn't really. That's the coins.
Mm-hmm.
Um, hit points, how many hit points you have. That simple. Doesn't show your max anywhere really. If it's green, you're at your max. If it's yellow, you're not. Um,
Yep.
damage, how much damage you're doing with whatever you currently have equipped. She's got nothing equipped. You have nothing to equip, so nothing there. And movement is how many squares on the battlefield she can move uh, before having to stop. And you can run all the way and then attack. You do not like lose your attack from moving. But
Yeah.
there's some other things like guarding and delaying and stuff we'll talk about when we get to there.
Yeah.
And her current status is okay. Could be dead, could be paralyzed, could be gone, which is beyond dead, which is can't even bring them back. Um, Poisoned. There's other stats they could be.
Yeah.
Uh, Add character to the party. We talked about that. Remove character from the party. I want to talk a little bit about remove character from the party. We're going to remove her. I'm going to load a game. My current set of characters. Oh, shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have done that. Dang it.
What did you do, Ray?
Well, I wasn't done talking about that menu, but
Oh. Oh, gotcha.
we can. I can get us back pretty quick. I'm heading. Wait, where am I? Heading the wrong way. That's where I'm headed.
So yeah, so we're into gameplay now. Do you want to talk about it now, or should we wait? Do you have a character thing?
I was gonna go back and talk about a character thing, but if you want to talk about that while I get us back to training, so we can
Yeah.
talk about stuff.
So the, there is, as you showed, there's an area map, an overhead map. Uh, there it is. You can move around in that view if you prefer. You can't see the doors though, so you got kind of have to bounce back and forth. But kind of the important thing is the coordinates. So there's going to be things you're going to need.
I'm pointing at
Uh,
the screen like you can see it. They're right
yeah,
there. They're right
yeah,
there.
13:6 facing south at the in the time there at the
Yep.
bottom of the bigger
Und-
window.
yep.
So there's going to be times where you're going to want to write those coordinates down and kind of understand the coordinate system. Uh, excuse me, because it's not always intuitive to know where you are physically on the map. It's easier just to know, okay, the entrance to the to the wild areas of town are at 1-4 or 4-1, one of
Mm-hmm.
those two. So that's my advice on moving around is you can get away with not mapping. It's probably best if you take the time and map each area, but you can get away with noting coordinates and using that overhead map if you don't like the mapping experience.
If you really don't like the mapping experience, yeah, you can get away with it. I still recommend it because the act of mapping it out is the pacing the designers expected you to go through the level. And it shows you where you've been and where you haven't. And if you take the time to map out an entire level, you'll probably have the XP and things you need to be ready for the next level. And if you don't, if you're just rushing or you miss a spot or something like that, probably never going to see it. There are some places where it doesn't happen often, but in the first area, I can think of one place particularly where mapping is your clue to find something specific.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give anything away, but there's one spot. Maybe we will at the end. We'll do a spoiler section of things because we've got a couple like tips from old Commodore magazines that are pretty shady, but
Yeah. I'm
but
not
at the
above
same
that
time,
though.
most people wouldn't be, and why not? It's part of the game. It's experience all the game, you
Yeah.
know. But if you go into training, you come back here, and the thing I wanted to show, we did add characters, we did remove characters. Removing characters from the party. Like you'll see I've got a list of characters there, but they weren't there when I went to add them earlier because they're out. They're in a group that's running around and um, is currently active. If you remove them from the party, it takes them out of active. So you can remove everyone from your party and effectively start the game over with those characters having already had the experience they're having. So if you're kind of running into a problem, you're like, geez, I need to start over. Just remove everyone from your party and add them back in after a reboot, and you'll actually have an easier time. It'll be a little better for you.
Yeah.
But the thing we forgot to talk about was modify character. What?
And
What do
this,
you mean? Oh, because it's not a cleric. Okay.
oh,
They only deal with the dryad can't be modified.
oh, it's because you started the game,
You
I
think so?
think. Or try.
Let's add Brienne back in. I can modify her. Okay, so once you've started gaining experience, you can't modify them.
Right.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. But so
This is gonna seem really weird, uh, but you can up your stats arbitrarily through this screen. Just crank them all to 18 if that's what you want to do.
this is what you want to
Uh,
do?
and that seems, yeah, do it. And that seems fundamentally wrong and stupid. But the reason they did it is because, and Chris told me this, so I'm just repeating what he told me.
So
Uh,
I might be full of shit, but at least it's my
yeah,
full of shit.
yeah. Well, I don't want people to think that I'm like stealing your idea, but
No, no, I don't care. It's us.
it's so you can recreate your D&D character from your pen and paper game.
Hmm.
That's how closely tied this was to the D&D concept. You
Yes.
know, it's not like now where, there are D&D games, but it feels very separate from the dice rolls and everything.
Right. No, this is part of that. The other thing, like, there are always also like a ton of house rules for, um, like you can, uh, let's say this was the stats. So it's like a 13 in intelligence and a 13 in charisma. Sometimes there's a house rule like you could lower charisma by 2 to raise your prime by 1 or
Yeah.
something like that. So this was an option. So the stats are all editable, but then so is the hit points. So you can, like, for some people, house rules where you start with maximum hit points. So maybe you want to go in and give all your characters right off the bat, just max their hit points out. I would not feel that's cheating in the least, you
This
know?
is it's a hard game. Uh
Yeah.
so if that's what you want to do, no judgment here.
You
Like
play
go
this
for
game
it.
how you want. When I played in high school and stuff, we jacked everything up. We put everything all the way to 18 and it wasn't a cakewalk. It wasn't something. I heard somebody say that it does sort of semi balance against the power of your party, so jacking your stuff up might actually get you more powerful encounters, which could be good or bad because maybe you'll advance faster since you'll be getting more experience, but it's also harder fights. So, you do you is sort of the
Yeah.
takeaway. You do you.
Yeah.
Um,
And we don't know if that's true.
I
Like
don't
we
know if
don't.
that's true. That is absolutely full on rumor on my thing. We're gonna remove her though. We're gonna add try it back in.
Yeah.
I
So when
just
you start, like you won't see this unless you start a whole new game. But the
mhm.
first thing that happens when you start the game, are we done talking about character
I
creation?
think we're done talking about character creation.
Okay. So the first thing that happens is some guy shows up and gives you this weird, really quick walking tour of the town. Uh,
Hmm.
that is can be difficult because you really want to absorb it because he's like, here's the gate to the unsettled areas, here's the town hall, blah 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 blah, and you won't be able to remember it. So that's the time where you would want to maybe just jot down the coordinates for those things instead of trying to absorb the winding path that dude takes you because it freaked me out. I was like, oh, I'm doing a bad job already on this. And I did actually go on to do a very bad job, but the point is to just note those
Right,
coordinates. Don't stress out about learning his walking tour.
right. Um, yeah. So I was looking to see if there's somewhere I could turn sound off on this. I thought there was.
What's your suggested party makeup? Like, what are you using here?
So yeah, that's a good question. That's another thing we didn't talk about. So I'm using my first two guys are fighters.
Hmm.
You should at least have two. If you don't have at least two, you're gonna just have people plow over the top of I don't mind having a cleric be my third frontline person because they
Yeah,
can
cleric.
have full armor.
Yep, clerics do okay in combat in this game, which
Hmm.
is not what where my mind goes when I think of clerics. But
No, yeah, no. These are still, and I think I told this at our tabletop. Like the original purpose of clerics was undead hunters. They're meant to be fighters of the undead
hmm
that just also happen to have healing. But everybody brought them along just to be like walking bandage factories.
right,
So fighter, cleric. Here's my multi-class guy.
fighter, magic user,
User
thief.
thief,
Wow, the triple threat.
the triple threat.
Dude is
Uh,
ugly as sin too.
I don't mind. But since thief's gonna go all the way up, now he can use any weapon, any armor, and he can cast a decent handful of spells.
Yeah,
And he'll get the improved strength from being a fighter. You should at least take fighter thief because you can get that bonus strength for him. That
yeah. Straight
oof,
up thief, I'm finding is pretty spongy. Like my thief probably dies more than anyone
yes.
else in my party. Um, and note the short bow decision. Like thief is a really good class, I think, to have ranged.
Hmm. You will want to use thief close up when you can do backstabbing, which is when your party outnumbers them, and then you have the guy run around. So you want to keep him lightly armored, even though he's a fighter, um, just because you'll want that ability to dash around behind and do backstabs. The
hmm
tactical level of stuff in the combat is part of why we're going to spend a bit of time on it. It's it's more involved than it looks, and that's good and bad. We'll talk about that then.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's my triple threat, and then two mages. So
Yep.
I basically have three mages, a cleric, and then two and a half fighters.
Yep.
Three fighters if you count the cleric as half a fighter.
Yeah. So you have a
uh,
party of 9 according to that math, I think.
yeah. Well, and so as you play, I don't think this game really punishes you unless you do something like dump all your guys as thief or all your guys as wizard, all your
Yeah.
guys as one thing. If you do any sort of diversity in your stuff, you're going to be fine. So maybe you think you need more healing. Maybe take that as a half elf cleric thief.
Yeah.
This that clutch guy there, that thief class really lets you round out the rest of your stuff a little bit. That I think's handy. What did you take?
I took 2 fighters, a cleric, or no, I think I took a straight up thief and two mages. Or maybe I took three fighters, a cleric, a thief, and 2 magic users. Is that right? I don't
I don't know. I'm
remember.
not there.
Yeah. Trying to remember what they are. Definitely two fighters, a thief, a cleric, and 2 magic users. That's what I took.
So it's nighttime. I was gonna go do shopping because that's the first thing you should do when you start your characters because they have no equipment.
Nothing.
They have
Yep.
money and that is it. Not
You
gonna
you
talk
have
about the game.
yeah. You did have one more note in here in our notes that I
Hmm.
wanted to bring up because it's cryptic to me. You said take a female cleric. And I don't know why, and I don't know if it's a spoiler or what, but
Um, I
we
can do
should
it
at
without
least
spoiling it. I
okay.
can say it without spoiling it. I don't remember for sure in this game, but in the second game, there is a quest and help in Curse of the Azure Bonds that is only available if you have a female character. So taking a female cleric, I think it might be that she has to be a cleric too, but it definitely has to be if you want to really get all the bits of it, you should have a female character that you're taking for it. I am telling you to build parties presuming you want to carry them all the way
I think that's a great feature and a pretty cool idea.
through.
So
Hmm.
I'm on board with that.
Yeah. So like when I go to the next set of things, I'll probably change Redstone to a paladin, Pendragon to a ranger, and everyone else will just stay.
Yeah.
But that'll change out my stuff, and then I'll have a pure fighter through. Why did I call him that?
Hmm?
I'm trying to remember. Why I called Jackal Tried.
Sounds like a reference to something.
It's a reference to something, and I'm trying to remember what is some joke that I thought I'd remember, and I don't remember what the joke is.
Oh, I thought it was Jackal Turd, so.
No, no. Oh, Jack of all trades,
Oh,
because
that's
he's my
funny.
yeah,
That's a solid joke.
Jack of all trades.
I like it.
All right. Anyway, so instead of shopping first, which we will do in a second, I'm making camp. Uh, in town, you have to camp in one of the inns. They're going to charge you a platinum piece or 5 gold pieces.
That's not cheap.
It's not cheap. Or the
I
town
I
guard
don't.
will shake you up for it.
Yeah, I do not camp in town just as a rule because it's so expensive to level up in this game, and I really want to level up. Uh, so I don't do it. Like I don't want to spend the money. I take the risk and camp in the
Right.
unsettled areas.
Well, and once you get a little ways into the game, like you part of the game is clearing the unsettled areas. So once you've cleared an area, it's safe to rest there. You can then rest there safely without the guards shaking you down. But until
Yeah,
then, I've done this a lot in the beginning just because I'm like sick of encounters breaking my stuff. Because you will get wandering encounters while you sleep sometimes. And we're going to talk about magic in a second and why that's a problem.
right.
Uh, Options are save game, view character, view, magic, rest, alter, or exit. Alter, oops, not in the thing. Alter, you can alter the order, you can drop somebody, you can change the speed of the game. Game speed right now for me is on 1. Uh, you can change somebody's icon if you like, oh, I didn't want to, that was a mistake.
Yeah,
Picks, you can have portraits on for monsters. Let's turn portraits off. That's much better.
yeah.
um, that's altering. Rest, you can pick whether you want to rest for days, hours, minutes. So, like, let's say you're waiting for the shop to open. Well, I got to wait uh, 9 hours for the shop to open. You can just add days, hours, minutes to rest. Um, on that note, something I read in the instructions last night that I've never read before. So I don't know how true it is, but the instructions say that the moment you start the game, it starts running a clock and the game keeps getting harder until you finish it. So think about how long you're just sitting around resting and try and minimize that because you're making the game harder on yourself by taking too
Yeah.
long. Just already would have been my advice without that help, but knowing that that's happening in the gears of the game, keep it moving.
Yeah, totally.
View, save. You save to a letter slot.
Very strange, but okay.
I'm sure
Just to
it's
remember. Yeah.
remember where you saved. It is DOS era. They had fixed
Yeah.
resources, so there's probably so many slots. But magic is the main attraction here. It's mostly why you're gonna rest. You can cast spells. You can cast spells from out of here too, but I want to cast your light wounds. We'll cast on you. Um, I'm gonna cast this. You can cast a combat spell to free up the slot because
Oh, neat.
Dungeons and Dragons uses spell slots, not mana or points or anything like that. So you get so many first level spells you can cast, so many second level spells you can cast, and it's based on your level. I believe which book actually tells you about that. Not the Adventures, is it the
Um,
who actually
I
tells
think
you what your
it's in the
slots are?
manual. Yeah, that's a good question.
We should we should be more.
But this is a really weird idea to me that I have to memorize cure light wounds 3 different times to cast it, you know?
It's yeah, it's based sort of on Jack Vance novels, I'm told, where the magic is essentially alive in you, and you cast it and it leaves you. So when you're prepping it 3 times, the other way to think about it is you're not memorizing it 3 times, you're preparing it 3 times.
Right.
So you're gonna get like 3 bundles of twigs and LOIs and everything ready to go for the day.
Sure.
And I don't know why then you wouldn't just do that for all your spells, but whatever.
Yeah. But it's goofy, and the other thing that gets annoying about it is that it's a multi-step menu process to select these spells. So when your combat gets interrupted, it's such a pain in the ass. Like
Right.
it's really frustrating because then if you've got 4 people who can memorize spells in your party, so you have to redo
Yeah.
all that memorization. It's not saved. It's gone forever if you get interrupted in rest.
The one thing I will say is this is like the first thing they fixed in the next game. So once you start memorizing stuff, it remembers what you had as your base spell layout. And you're like, do you just want to do that? And you're like, yeah. Otherwise, you can go in and modify it and tweak it if you need to make changes. But for the most part, and it has a command called fix. So you start like say everybody's super damaged and you want to get them healed. You hit fix and it will just start casting your cure spells and rememorizing them as fast as it can to get everybody out, which is
Yeah.
nice. Uh, but we're gonna have her memorize some spells. I am actually going to memorize Detect Magic because I specifically want to show that one.
Oh, cool.
Cure Light Wounds, and I'll memorize Hold Person again. Yes, these are the spells I want to memorize. Uh, Going down the list, S's Scribe. You do get a couple spells as you advance levels as a mage. Clerics get all their spells for their class level. They just get them. Mages are mostly going to find their stuff on scrolls, though. So they have to find a scroll, cast Read Magic on it, then inscribe those scrolls into their spellbook, and then they can memorize them as part of their repertoire of spells. Uh, you will want to do that frequently. That should be a goal of your guys, finding scrolls and getting them scribed in. So that's what that is. I don't have any scrolls right now to describe. Display shows what spells are currently affecting them. Right now, rest. Boop, boop,
And
boop,
it
boop.
automatically calculates that rest time based on the number and
Yes.
such of the spells that you're memorizing.
I believe without looking it up, it'll tell you in the manual somewhere, but I believe it's like 15 minutes for a first level spell and then half an hour for a second and on up. But there's a base 4 hour minimum of just every time you want to memorize. So like that was like 5 hours to memorize those 3 or 4 spells.
Yeah.
I'm going to have her cast Detect Magic right now. So keep in mind what the last time was. But we're going to come out here. We're going to view. We're going to go into our inventory. And you'll see stuff I have. Again, I'm pointing at the screen like you can see my finger.
Hmm.
There's asterisks next to some of these, signifying they're magical.
Oh.
Um, here's here's a big bit of advice for people. Um, because if you're not used to Dungeons and Dragons or these particular games, you will probably make this mistake at least once. And you will sell a magic sword for 2 gold pieces because you did not know it was
Hmm.
magic. Generally, wandering monsters in this game don't drop magic items. Generally, uh, if you hit a standard encounter and that usually has like a little vignette before you get into it, or you find a treasure trove or something like that, um, then you will you're probably got a magic item in there. Cast Detect find out what it is, and get it ID'd at the store for 100. Some stuff's cursed. Be careful with that too. Um, but they are pretty generous about getting you magic items right away. So don't ever think it's too early in the game that you shouldn't have seen a magic item already. You probably will relatively quickly. Um, yeah,
Yeah, good tip.
yeah. So I wanted to make sure people knew that. Oh, good. I got gems. All right, that's outrageous. Had
Truly,
to,
truly.
had to. Sorry. I'm gonna increase the hours here. Oh, I was gonna show that. So magic, memorize. So even just memorizing bless will take 4 hours and 15 minutes. That 4 hours is just every time you rest to memorize a spell, you're going to spend a minimum of 4 hours resting. And I think like every hour is a roll of the dice for a wandering encounter.
Right. And so the problem that I keep coming up with is I'll get into combat, since if you're level 1, you're going to be done with combat with 3 or 4 people who are near death, and then you have to heal them all. So it's a long cycle of camping, memorizing.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can go to the temple and pay, and it's much faster, but
You lose money and you don't have
you
money
lose
because you
money.
need it for other stuff.
So the ramp up in that way is really complicated, and it can be frustrating to be interrupted while you're sleeping, trying to do that over
Yeah.
and over again to get everyone back
Yeah.
up. So
Well,
that's the game. Like
yeah.
that's what you have to do.
We'll give some tips on how to rest and some other things on how to minimize that drama. But
Yeah.
okay, so here we are. We're in a shop. Uh, First thing you want to do, pool all your money in the shop. Have everybody throw their money in a big pile so you don't have to sit there and go, well, he's trying to buy something, but he only has 100 gold. And this guy's got 50 gold. We need to, whatever. However, I'm going to have him take, got 20 gems. Gems and jewelry need to be appraised before you can sell them.
Hmm.
This value's 1,000. Let's sell it. This one's 500. This one's 10. This one's 100. You
Wow.
just kind of go through.
Some good gems.
Oh, all right. Pool all the money. Share all the money. Oh, pool all the money. So like you saw before, I add. Oh, it is doing that. Let's do this because I think this will fix it.
What's wrong? I didn't notice.
So if you like take the money, it's got 288 copper, 2,000 silver, 327 gold. If this was all in platinum,
Oh,
it would be
right.
much lighter for me. So I'm going to have something I didn't do before that I want to do. I'm looking for uh, darts. Where are you, darts?
There's a
Oh,
lot of weird weapons in this game that I've never seen in another game. So I've had to go out to the internet
4 darts.
a few times and look up what some of these things are. Uh, but
And now notice that they did it all in like 4 darts, 4 darts, 4 darts, 4 darts. So you'll want to come in here and hit J for join, R for ready. Oops. Because this lets the mage actually from the back do damage by throwing stuff. Because they're only going to have so many spells. And I should have bought these back on level 1. This would have made a huge difference for my mages. Made them
that's a
far more effective.
that's a great tip. I have not been doing that. They've just been hanging out, or I'll just throw them into the mix and they get dinged up. So yeah, so that's a really
Yeah.
good advice. Buy darts for your mages.
Buy darts for the mages.
The other
You,
thing too that's weird about the ranged combat I noticed is when you run out of arrows or darts, it doesn't really tell you. Like you just suddenly can't shoot, and then it's on you to figure out why. That
yes.
can be because it's not always that you're out. Sometimes it's just like you're too close, too far.
Hmm.
The sun's out,
Yeah.
whatever reason, the wind's blowing.
So now that I've bought something, it's consolidated all my money. It's almost worth buying like the cheapest thing you can find on there just to have all your money shrunk down.
Yeah.
So I can buy stuff from here, but you'll notice I can't sell stuff. You actually have to go view items and then come down here and sell. Yes, sell. Yes, sell. Yes, sell.
Yeah, that's weird. That took me a while to figure out.
Ready, ready.
And obviously, that's only there if you're in the shop.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to do something incredibly stupid. I have pooled all my money. I'm going to exit. And it's going like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You got to take your money back. You want to go back and get your money? Yes. It does give you the warning.
Thank God, because I would do it every time I
I
would
was going
leave.
to say, but if you
It's
leave without your money, it's gone.
it's such a weird idea to like dump all your money out into a pile on the floor and then have to reshare it out, but that's essentially what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So historically, when you've pooled gold in games, it's always just been on the one guy, and maybe he's encumbered, or if he gets killed, then it's gone. Uh,
I, you know, I,
but in this game, you're dumping it out on the counter, and like that's it.
I kind of get it though, because otherwise, every time someone wants to buy, you're like, okay, I got to go to this guy, pool all the gold. I got to go to this guy, pool all the gold. Just pool all the gold once, buy stuff, and then do hit share, and it evenly spreads it amongst everybody.
Yeah,
I've I have mixed feelings, but at the same time, I kind of get it.
yeah. From a workflow process, it's
Better,
probably
but from
easier.
a mentality standpoint, it feels a little weird. But if you're gonna make coins weigh something, then
Yeah,
yeah. And that might be the other thing. You might not be able to, you might not have the strength to hold the coins you need to buy the thing you want to buy if it's a really expensive magic item.
right.
Um, which ain't that a thing?
Yeah,
Um,
but always reshare your gold. That's
yeah,
the takeaway.
yeah.
After
Just
you pool, reshare.
and this can be stuff that happens when you're like fighting monsters and stuff. Like after you've completed the battle, you have an option to share it because you might want to spread stuff around or make sure you only take the high stuff or whatever. Okay,
Yeah,
so that's I
that's
mean that's
shopping.
that's shopping. So we've
Let's
shopped, we've
let's
been
get in some
camped.
combat.
Let's go mix it up, right? Um, actually, let's do one more thing. Here's the temple. Do you want to heal? You can buy a cleric spell. Raise dead, neutralize poison, remove curse.
Not cheap though.
Not cheap. I don't
It's
actually
like,
want to do any of that. I just want to show us
yeah.
there. Okay.
So now here you are. So if you hit A to show the area map, so when they talk about clearing an area, it's this whole shebang here. Like
Say
you you,
16 by 16 area.
you are not safe until you've cleared out this whole area and like claimed it at the town
Mm-hmm.
hall, right? So be aware.
Be aware. And it's usually like you just got to find the boss of the area, kill them, and then the area is clean and safe. So for me right now, this area is safe.
Hmm.
Um, there's one spot in it I haven't cleaned out yet. I still don't think my guys are ready. Uh,
In this
so
first area?
in this first area, this
Wow.
this is true D&D in that it doesn't balance the areas for you. So if you can't handle part of it, that might be by design. Go do something else for a while and come back after you've got a level or two and try again. Um, or try a different tactic or do something like that because it does slowly get better as you get better at things. One of the things you'll want to do, so like we're here. We talked about area. C for cast if I want to cast a spell based on who's highlighted. Should usually keep your thief highlighted. They're the best chance of avoiding traps.
Hmm.
But um, if you want to look intimidating or something, you might need to keep someone else highlighted. There's a lot that happens behind the scenes in this game that you should be role playing. And if you're role playing it, if you're doing the things that make sense, the game will unfold the way you do, but it's not going to spell out its mechanics for you,
Mm-hmm.
which is cool and not. But so the next tip is role play. Like, who do you want leading the party when you're walking around the ruins? Probably your thief. So highlight
I
them.
had no idea that that mattered.
Matters.
All right, good to know.
View is brings you back to that view.
Yep. The interesting thing here is search. So
Yes.
if you like take a step, if you take a step here and watch the
504 right
clock,
now. It's 505.
1 minute a step.
Turned
But
on
now you're
search.
searching,
10 minutes a step.
and the subtext there is that you're 10 times more likely to get a random encounter while searching.
Yes.
But if you want to find the good stuff, you got to search. And you
Or
can kind of tell though, because the rooms will have little prompts, and that
usually,
should be a clue to you. Yeah, usually
usually.
that you might want to turn search on while you walk around and explore this room that
Yeah.
smells funny or whatever.
So yeah, usually my recommendation is if you're trying to get somewhere safe to rest, turn search off.
Yep,
Um, if you're if you don't care, while you're doing your first pass through something until you're beat up, just have search on. You can also, the last thing on there is look. Look will add 10 minutes. It will search that square. So like I've searched here. I could I don't need to search the whole hall. I just want to search the doors. So I'll go up to the next door and I'll hit look.
gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like if
So
you
search
want
is
to,
first step, and
yeah,
look is incidental.
right. I usually just leave search on. If you Again though, go back to that, the longer you take to do something, the clock's ticking, so play by ear.
Yeah,
Um I'm going to have him pick lock. I'm looking for something specific. Lock. Okay, I'm going to have him bash. This might be okay. I would rest here.
good
And
advice.
the reason being, when you go into combat, the the combat map you're on mirrors the actual map you're on. It's not like some places where they just throw up a generic, here's some walls, here's a big open floor fight. Uh, where you are is mimicked in the map. So by putting myself in a nice three thing, three corner, room, three walled room with a door behind me, and facing the wall, any combat that happens has to fit between me and that wall. It's going to limit the number of monsters I have to fight to only what can fit in those thin strips.
Very good advice. And the other thing is when you camp, you want to do what I call the Blair Witch camp, where you go into a corner and just like face the wall,
Yeah,
because that reduces your chance of having an encounter.
always face the wall whenever you can. Face the wall, face the wall, face the wall. And as soon as you encamp, save.
Yes, save first.
Save
Don't
first.
do all the jazz with your spells and your whatnot.
Save
Save
first.
first, and then if
Magic,
things go
memorize.
sideways, you can load, and you'll
Magic,
be right
memorize.
there.
And I'll memorize this and this and this and this. And then I'll rest. And then after I've rested, then save again.
Yep.
Yep. Uh, you're sort of on a modern, if you're using a modern computer, if you're doing all this stuff, like I didn't back in the Commodore days because, that took time.
Right.
No excuse. It's an extra two key presses, save a, okay, three key presses. Just do it.
Save a lot.
Save,
That's my advice.
save often,
Uh,
save early.
Yep.
I think I've cleared this area, so we're
Okay.
gonna have to.
Pretty cool.
One of the we'll talk about that when we talk about that.
Which is not now.
Which is not now. I wanted to talk about certain parts of this game so bad already. Okay, I don't think I've been in this area at all yet. So we are
Some combat.
bound to get in a fight. Oh. One of the things I think is interesting is once you've tried to pick the lock, you're done.
Yeah. So one and done.
So like, yeah, this is screaming for me to search.
Yeah. And you
And it
want to walk in every square too. That's just good advice generally.
I do it at work all the time.
Yeah.
I walk in every square.
Yep. Totally.
Totally.
Right, because you got to search because you never know when you're
Search.
gonna find treasure.
Right.
It doesn't. Well,
It
never
just
mind.
had me search the room.
Yeah.
Awesome. And now I got journal entry 8. So if I go in
Yes.
here,
Okay. So this is important. So a lot of the stuff you're gonna get from the game will be references to uh, entries in the adventurer's journal.
a rugged, popular account of the northern lands. 10 days ride north of Varn is a barren and dead country called the Lewai. Land in plain or land of cursed pain. Neither the south of this place is known as the tortured land. It is said it is an evil place, shunned by raiders, yada, yada, yada. So there's some clue in there that I probably need to know something about, but not going to worry about right
Right. So
now. You take it? Yeah.
hell yeah. It's important though, like when you're dealing with the adventurer's journal, the best advice is not to read ahead and wait until you get the clues and the context that the game wants you to have them, because they're not all true. And
Right.
they tell you that in there. It's written in there. They're pretty explicit about not doing that. But if your inclination is to just read the whole thing, I would resist that temptation.
It will, yeah, it will end up biting you because there's stuff in there that's absolutely not true. And there's, once you finish the game, go through and read it because some of the stuff that's not true is a wink and a nod knowing you're reading something you're not supposed to be reading. And they'll even like break third wall and be like, why are you reading this? But yeah, no. Um,
Also, the game comes with 4 documents from Good Old Games. There's the quick reference card, which is mostly about making it work with the
right.
config file and everything. There's the manual, the adventurer's journal, and it comes with a clue book. So if you're that kind of person, you could always, you know,
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. Like, we were talking
read
about
that.
mapping and then I kind of got off the topic here because I was running back trying to get to where I could show character creation. Uh, Mapping does help you pace your own playthrough of the game to be to the right level. If you've never done mapping before or you don't think you're that good at it or you want to get started in it because it's like you're starting to come around on mapping.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
Man, this is a good game to start on. The ability to like look at this, try and draw what you see and then hit A and see how it lines up is huge. But this doesn't give it all to you. So you still have to kind of be in here and looking and going, okay, what am I seeing? And still kind of make your own notes. So there's still a little bit of it that's yours, but you can check your work. You can look in the back of the book for the math answers.
Yep.
It's really nice that way.
Plus there's squares. It's not like some games where the walls are like 2D. Those can be hard to map,
Yeah.
and it's pretty friendly. And they're small levels, so it's not impossible.
They're
So
always square. They're always 16 by 16. It might
yep.
not fill the whole 16 by 16 in a couple cases, but it's never going to be more than 16 by 16. So,
Yeah, it's a good get your feet wet on
mapping.
mapping. Man, you got to find some combat here though.
Right?
Are you back in the street, or are you still
No,
in the,
I'm still in here. Let's go deep.
this place where you got a feeling of peace? I don't know. I want to
Let's bash in a
get out of
door.
there. There you go. Now you're playing combat
Right.
D&D. Raw did something on the floor. That's usually a good sign for combat. I like to move in the area map.
Pleasant Pond has become a swamp. That sounds promising.
Yep.
Or not.
Yeah.
Man! This has been anticlimactic here.
Yeah, I know. You can't find combat. Like, that's a weird problem to have with this game. I usually, maybe what you should do is camp, because that always causes it for me. Here we go.
Oh, it's mad at me because I was stealing books. Okay. We're in combat.
Finally.
Finally. Now, this guy's got a short bow equipped, so we are going to hit A to aim our attack. You can do like next, and it'll like highlight through all the people. That's kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I never use that. So this is the part. Like, there's three ways to target people in combat. There's the automatic targeting, which I don't like because it just cycles through people. There's the manual targeting,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can just walk into people, and that's the easiest in my opinion.
Right.
Because me not since I don't have the numeric keypad, I
Mm-hmm.
have not been able to diagonally walk into people. Like, I could hit the corresponding number, but my brain doesn't work that way. So
Right.
I've been using the
Quick.
manual targeting,
Oh,
and I've been using either manual targeting or the quick combat where it does it for you, but it's obviously not very good at the quick combat.
quick
Like,
combat is mostly for when you outclass them so badly. So like when I get to level 4 or 5, if I run into a group of orcs, Q
mhm,
Q Q Q Q, because they're not going to hit me with my like plus something plate mail, and
right,
why I don't. It'll go way faster if I don't even need to touch the keyboard.
yeah,
We will
it's
talk about this in the thing because I think it's really interesting.
yeah.
But
Space gets you out of quick combat too if you accidentally pop someone into quick combat. And
which
you
I have
can
done.
the other nice thing though, like, if you can do it on a per person basis. So for
hmm
when I couldn't figure out how to make my archer shoot for a while, I just had him on quick combat, and he just did it, and I just didn't think about it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and
yeah.
again, like we'll talk about the merits of it. I am not. I want to caution people who think they're getting out of doing combat by just, oh well, I can just put everything on quick. There's some drawbacks to that. On the next breath, if combat is absolutely something you hate, go ahead. It's going to take you a little bit longer for other reasons, but it lets you play the game without it being something that's burdensome to you, which I think is really, I think's cool. I know there are going to be some people who hate that.
Hmm.
I love the combat for a
It's good
variety of reasons.
combat.
Yeah.
It's a good system. And again, like you were talking about how there's stuff behind the scenes. There's tons of stuff behind the scenes in
hmm
combat. So if you do quick, you're kind of like, it's quicker. Like,
Yeah.
that's what the word means. So that can be nice, uh, but you kind of lose out on some stuff.
Right. So in this case, here's the other thing I want to point out. I do have a turn command for my cleric.
Hmm.
You might turn sounds like something you're taking a turn of in combat. Turn means turn undead, and it means chase them away or destroy them through the holy power of your devout belief. I think this ghost is probably beyond me. I'm going to try it anyway. Nothing happens. Yeah. So
Yeah.
here's like this said. I could aim or I could just push into this guy. Thought I could just push in.
You still have to put move first, right?
Oh, is that what I got going on wrong? Yeah.
So that's the fastest way, is to M arrow, M
Oh, he
arrow.
just drained 2 levels.
Oh, brutal. Is that permanent? That's why
Uh,
you don't take those books.
yeah.
That's why you always leave a note. Put this bitch to sleep. So yeah, you can backstab if you enter into a guy's uh, uh, enemy's radius or immediate vicinity. They get a free attack on you if they haven't attacked yet.
If they have guard up. So like if I hit done right now, oh it doesn't work because I've got melee. So let's view items. You can switch your weapons in combat. You're not stuck with it for all of combat.
And it doesn't take your turn to do that. That's nice.
Right. I think you can even switch armor, but I'm not gonna worry about that on this guy.
Yeah.
So done. So now I have guard as an option, delay is an option. If your mage is trying to cast a spell and they get hit, they might lose the spell. So sometimes it's best to delay them till the end, then try and cast the spell if they're really in the thick of it. But if you think you can pull it off, go ahead and as soon as they come up, get the spell going. Because the faster it's affecting, the happier you're going to be.
Right.
He's
Oh
dead.
damn.
He's not even unconscious. We might have to do a reload here in a second.
I think we're definitely gonna have to do a reload. So yeah, so you usually you use target for ranged and just walk into the guys for
Right.
melee.
Now I
And the other
have
thing, oh, go ahead.
those. Yeah. Oh, I was just aiming my I was just talking here and aiming my magic stuff here. There we go.
Now you're
Another
doing
thing about bows. 2 attacks.
Yeah, very nice.
Don't don't underestimate that. That is huge. Sorry. What were you going to say? I'm
Oh, yeah, I think I was just going to repeat the point that if you run out of arrows, you just won't be able to
yeah.
attack. Because that happens to me quite often. I didn't join my arrows though, so I have like 100 stacks of 10 arrows. So. There you go.
Yay, boo. Continue battle. So you can continue battle when you're done. If
Yeah,
you want to fight each other. Because maybe you do. But you might also need to bandage someone. There's some things you'd want to do to like. We didn't have anybody go down in a way that's actually helpful. I wasn't expecting to see a ghost. Um,
yeah. If you heal Redstone, will he come back, or is he dead? Dead.
he's dead.
Okay.
And let's take a look at her. She's level 2 again.
Ouch.
Ouch indeed. So we might reload that.
I would not tolerate a level drain in this game. That's the other thing I wanted to talk about. The first level is 0 to 1500 XP, and you're getting 30 per combat. So if you're doing some math there, it takes a long time
If
to level up through combat.
if you're doing it through combat, right? This also comes from D&D rules, though, where finding a treasure gets you an XP for each gold piece value of the treasure.
That's where you're going to make your levels in early
Yes.
games. So don't
Yes.
don't think you're going to grind combat to level up in this game like I was trying to do,
No, you'll never get there.
because you'll pop back to the back of the adventurer's journal and see that you need 1500, and you'll look and you'll have like 70, and you'll have been getting your ass kicked, and you won't know what to do. So the answer is to explore, search, find treasure.
I'm just gonna go find a different combat. Like I'm not keeping this game because that's just
That's beyond the pale.
yeah, that's a ball kicker.
So we said this game comes with 4 manuals. The comedy 5th manual you would want to play this really would be a copy of the first edition
Player's
rules.
Handbook. Yeah.
Yeah, if you can, I'm sure they're out there.
We will stride boldly forward.
Sure, we will.
It's about a group of ogres. Monsters stand ready.
Uh-oh.
So here's one of the things that's cool. And it does it pretty much all the time. Monsters don't necessarily immediately attack you. Not humanoid-esque monsters. So ogres, orcs, hobgoblins, goblins, kobolds. You can talk. You can try and I could put it on Ladria with a high thing and try to talk to them.
Yeah, charisma.
Yeah, we could wait. We could try and run away. I'm gonna start some shit just because I want a combat that's gonna be a little more interesting than the last one. For ogres
Yeah.
rush to attack. Cast. You want to memorize sleep with your mage at level 1.
Sleep is the best level 1 spell because it's an area of effect deal. It's a 3x3 square,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like get out of combat free card
Yep.
sometimes.
It.
So definitely
Yeah.
use sleep.
They get a resistance check against it, but most of the time you're gonna put to sleep everybody in that 3-3 square. Now there's another little asterisk on that. Everybody.
Everybody.
Aim away from your people. And unfortunately, as you're about to see, so manual, if I cast there, it'll catch Pendragon and Ladrya.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to more like cast there because then it'll catch this guy, this guy, this guy. It's the center of where you're casting. So it's not even upper left or anything. It's going to radiate out from there.
Right.
When you
So
eventually get
keep that in
Fireball,
mind.
the wider it gets, the harder it is to measure, but pay attention. So we're going to plug it there. So I'm going to move him like that. I'll show you why here in a second. I want to get him started. View items. We're going to turn this off for a second because I'm going to attempt a backstab. Thieves get like double damage from backstab, and then triple damage, and then quadruple damage by the time they're up a level. That's not a small number. But you have to be aware of where everyone's facing and make sure like you've done something to get their attention in the other direction. Hit them, done something more than just attack. You need to
Mm-hmm.
actually hit.
And it doesn't really spell out that it's happening. It just does it behind the scenes.
Right. I'm gonna cast Stinking Cloud this time.
Very nice.
Oh, that's too far away. Put it there then.
So is the square they're populating where their head is? Because they're like a double wide situation.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I would need to check, but I think you can tag them from anywhere.
Oh, nice.
Uh, Q will let that character, like if they've got a missile weapon, they can't guard. So you want them to quit instead. So in
You're
this
doing a good
case,
job.
quit. Ooh. I was hoping the Stinking Cloud would take them out. I guess it didn't paralyze them. It just
Just made
made
them
them
mad.
nauseous. Yeah.
You're like hauling around this carcass. That's kind of weird. It's just the D&D life.
Yep. Tough being an adventurer. Got a little weekend
Oh,
at Bernie's thing going.
yeah.
Prop them up
Yep.
until.
And they surrender too. That's kind of nice sometimes when you're dealing with a large
Mm-hmm.
combat and you're outclassing them dramatically.
Yep.
They'll just surrender.
Those. Yeah.
That's nice when that happens.
They know. You still get the XP. It still all works for you. Continue
Yep.
battle. No. So that's kind of most of the stuff in combat. If you want to flee combat once you're in the map is a relatively large area, but what you want to do is run to the edge and then run off. And it'll
Yep.
ask you if you want to flee. It'll roll a dice to see if you actually manage to get away. Otherwise, you're stuck there for a little bit while they keep getting closer. But if you can flee, then you can just get out of combat anyway.
Yeah. I've had good luck fleeing from combat um, in the early game.
Mm-hmm.
So, but usually I do it at the beginning
Right.
uh, because my rest has been interrupted. That's usually the use case I have for fleeing at the beginning of combat.
So, like, I've got some people here. I would encamp. I'm not. Normally, I would save. I'm not gonna save.
Don't
Not
save
for
that
a level
unless
drain. No.
in a dead guy.
Yep. Magic cast. Cure light wounds.
Yeah, make sure you use up your spells. Like, don't camp with a
beforehand.
bunch of cure light
Yeah.
wound spells in the tank. Make sure you run through them all. Yeah, you're gonna be memorizing a lot of cure light wounds with your cleric.
Yeah, you'll do that for a while. It'll like be the only thing you memorize for a long time, other than detect magic for when you think you need that. But okay, so uh,
I th- I think we've talked about everything we wanted to talk about here, haven't we?
leaves of party dies after combat. We kind of showed that it looks kind of like that shop screen where you can pick up stuff, pool stuff, share stuff, take stuff. You can cast detect from there to see if anything's detectable if you have detect magic memorized. Um, Spells are something you're just going to have to kind of go through the book and learn. We don't have, we'll talk about it next time again too, I'm sure. Uh, don't shy away from the clue book.
Hmm.
Um, it's the clue book's got all the maps in it. I mean, if that's the only thing you got out of there, it's kind of worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, clue book basically tells you, where stuff is on the map, but and the order to kind of go through the areas. But I don't know. It's not really gonna. It'll ruin the game for you, but it won't ruin the game for you. You still got to play it.
Right. It's not gonna make it a super easy cakewalk kind of
No,
deal.
not like, oh, do here, stand like this, shake this, and boom, you win. No, you're still gonna have to take all the actions. Journal entries, the journal entry. Yeah, I don't know
Y-
that we got anything else. Do you?
Yeah. The only other thing I wanted to mention was that the Adventures Journal has a lot of lore in it. You don't need to read it all. If you're a lore person, read it all. But the main thing you want out of there is the section with the journal entries and
Mm-hmm.
stuff and the postings.
Yeah.
But that's it. I think that's everything I wanted to
Yeah.
talk about.
Okay. Yeah, most of its character creation is 90% of what you got to do to get started in here, and then you just kind of go through and play the game, and it's I feel like it's really easy to get into once you get past the number crunchiness. Like there's a lot up front, and then the play is actually much easier than that initial wall of heavy.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, because what you're doing is going to that gateway to the unsettled lands and just plowing through it. I mean,
mhm.
it's not a huge story driven thing. So
No,
it's a low barrier to entry from
yeah,
like an intellectual standpoint, but it is quite difficult and the pacing is quite slow at the beginning.
yeah. I mean, there is story to it. There's a plot. There's a big bad guy. There's all that
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah.
Um, but
But
it
you're not
does
like gathering clues on where I'm gonna go
no,
next, you know, like
no. And what I kind of like about this too is it's not a and God, we're off the rails.
yeah,
It's
let's
not it's not a save the world quest. It's not a only you. I'm level 1. What do you mean only me? Like, I
right,
barely tie my shoes without help. What do you
right, exactly.
um Oh yeah. All right. Next, in 2 weeks we'll talk about Spellbound.
Yep,
And then a week after that we got a special surprise, and the person who knows the surprise should just stay quiet.
yep.
And then we'll come back and we will talk about this game as actually talking about the game.
Yeah. Will probably be some rehash in there, but oh well.
A little bit. We'll talk a little bit about character creation stuff, but I think we'll actually talk about
How we feel about
how
it.
we feel about it more than how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anything else from you?
Nope.
All
Thank
right.
you very much.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.